So what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word SELFI? Maybe it's something like this. But after conducting research at the Koegel Autism Center over the past 5 weeks, autism spectrum disorder is actually the first thing that I think of. And together with my mentors, Anthony Osuna and Daina Tagavi, we have been analyzing and observing the relationships between anxiety severity, internet usage, and social interaction skills in adults with autism. So to begin, what exactly is autism? Well, autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, is a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects communication and behavior. And according to the Center for Disease Control, about 1 in every 59 children is affected by autism in the United States. And these individuals also usually have difficulties with adaptive functioning and social interaction, putting them at an even higher risk of developing other social and emotional impairments like depression or anxiety. So, the acronym SELFI stands for Socialization, Education, and Learning for the Internet. And research has shown that social media may be beneficial to individuals with ASD as it gives them more control over the interaction and reduces their need for attention to nonverbal social cues like understanding facial expressions or emotion that could cause further anxiety and discomfort. So the goals of the SELFI study are first to understand how adults with ASD can utilize social media platforms like Facebook to build and maintain their friendships and relationships. And then through presentations and realistic examples, we also aim to teach them the social rules and etiquette of social media to help them act more appropriately online. And finally, my research project specifically focused on examining archival data from the Koegel Autism Center to observe the potential relationships or correlations between 3 variables: social interaction skills, internet usage, and anxiety levels. So in this study, we had 17 adults participate, ranging from the ages of 19 to 54. And 4 out of these 17 adults were female and 13 were male. And on the right here, you can see the racial demographics of the participants. And they have all either been previous or are still currently attending the Koegel Autism Center and receiving services, and have been diagnosed with high-functioning autism. So individuals with high-functioning autism are usually highly verbal and have an average to above average IQ, but still struggle with social interaction and communication. So first, to measure internet usage, we examined the Koegel Autism Center Adult Questionnaire, which was administered to the participants before receiving any treatment from the center. And regarding internet use, questions were asked like, on average, how many hours or minutes do you spend on the computer online every day? And how is this time usually spent? Then we also took a look at the Beck Anxiety Inventory, or the BAI, and to test for anxiety severity. And like this figure shows, symptoms of anxiety can be rated on a 4-level scale, ranging from 0, not bothersome at all, to 3, severely bothersome. So for example, if the symptom of numbness or tingling really irritated someone, they might circle the number 3 for severely. And after completion of the entire survey, we added up all of the numbers that they circled to determine their final BAI score. And a higher BAI score indicates higher levels of anxiety severity, while a lower BAI score indicates the opposite. So now to assess social skill, we first tracked the questions asked by both the participant and the questions asked by the peer that they were conversing with. And then we also coded for awkward silences based off of research done by researchers in Holland. And they said that awkward silences were silences of 4 seconds or longer because they promoted negative feelings of rejection and anxiety. So finally, we also tracked responding and initiating. And to do that, we used behavioral definitions based off of a study conducted by McMahon, Mizmara, and Solomon in 2014. So vocalizations directed towards someone in the presence of a conversation were classified as responses, while vocalizations directed towards another in the absence of conversation were initiations. So all 3 of these characteristics were all coded for when watching baseline videos of the participants conversing with a random stranger. And now for responding and initiating, to determine the percentage of questions that the participant actually responded to, we simply divided the number of responses by the total number of questions asked by the peer. And finally, for every 30-second interval, we simply identified if any of the other behaviors listed on the previous slide were expressed by the participant. And then we calculated the percentage of 30-second intervals that that specific behavior was exhibited. And finally, we repeated that same calculation for the other social skills listed before. So after collecting all of our data, we used SPSS analysis to determine if there was a correlation or relationship within the 3 variables. And we found that BAI score and hours spent online were actually inversely related, meaning that as more time was spent online, BAI score actually went down. Then we also conducted a bivariate correlation between internet usage and anxiety severity and found that the p-value was 0.024, meaning that the correlation in the results were not due to chance. Furthermore, Pearson correlation also indicates that the linear association between hours spent on the internet and anxiety severity was both significant and strong. And finally, we also conducted a regression analysis of BAI score and hours spent online to determine if the independent variable, that being time spent on the internet, was a predictor of anxiety severity. And we found that the regression model was actually significant for time spent on the internet, meaning that a higher frequency of internet usage was actually a predictor of less severe anxiety symptomatology. And as anxiety is one of the most common co-occurring psychiatric conditions found in individuals with ASD, this data further supports the idea that the internet could be used as a tool to help combat these symptoms. So now to assess whether a higher frequency of internet usage correlated with improved social skills, we conducted another bivariate correlation using all of the data that we found when coding the videos. And we found that the p-values for percentage of intervals with a question, questions responded to, intervals in the awkward silence, and intervals with initiation were all over 0.05, meaning that the correlation was in fact not significant. Awkward silences had the least significant relationship with internet usage with a p-value of 0.838, while initiation was trending towards having a significant relationship with a p-value of 0.09. So these results may be due to the fact that we only examined 4 social skills in this study, but the internet may have affected other areas of social behavior. Furthermore, our sample size was relatively small and only included 17 adults with high-functioning autism, so it definitely did not encompass the full spectrum of autism spectrum disorder. And finally, it's important to note that even though it seems that the internet did not have a significant effect on improving the social skills of these individuals, the overarching goal of our study is to improve the quality of life for people with ASD rather than just targeting one specific area of improvement. So in conclusion, the results suggest that an increased amount of time spent online correlated with less severe anxiety symptoms, but did not have a significant effect on the social skills of individuals with ASD. So testing the effect of other social interaction skills like expressing empathy or maintaining eye contact may be a possible future direction for this study. And furthermore, observing the effect of the internet on other participants from all over the autism spectrum is also important and necessary to determine whether these results can be applied and generalized to the entire ASD population. And finally, we also observed that 11 out of the 17 participants reported utilizing some sort of social media platform to interact and communicate with others. So the conclusions drawn from this data support the further exploration of social media-based intervention as well as the continuation of the SELFI study. So in conclusion, if social media and the internet can be used as possible forms of intervention designed for people with ASD, they will hopefully gain the confidence to take more risks, chances, and maybe even selfies. So I would just like to acknowledge the following people. First, thank you to my mentors, Anthony and Daina, for their continuous guidance and support. And also thank you to Michael Hughes and my entire TA group for their feedback. And also thank you to Dr. Lena Kim for providing us all with this opportunity. And thank you to my friends and family as well for their unconditional love and support. And special thanks to my mentors' dogs, Pavlov and Churro, for always coming to the clinic and providing us with comedic relief and notable Snapchat stories. And please acknowledge that over half of these pictures are all selfies. Thank you.